Imagine waking up each morning with the weight of the world pressing on your shoulders, knowing that today could bring challenges you've never faced before. The bills, the responsibilities, the uncertainties, they crowd your mind even before your feet touch the floor. But what if, just for a moment, you could pause, close your eyes, and invite a presence greater than all your fears to go before you today? What if you could start your day not with anxiety, not with doubt, but with the confidence that the Lord Himself is paving the path before you? There is a power and unshakable strength in a simple morning prayer. And today, I want you to feel it deep in your soul. Think for a moment of the many journeys in your life. Times when you faced the unknown. Perhaps you were stepping into a new job, a new city, or a new relationship. Maybe you were standing on the brink of a decision so critical that your mind raced with what ifs and maybes. And yet, in those moments, there was a flicker of hope, a quiet whisper in your heart that said, "You are not alone." That whisper is God. That guiding hand is there to go before you, to light your path, to prepare the way when you cannot see it yourself. I remember a story of a young woman who woke up one morning with fear gripping her heart. She had a daunting task ahead, one that could change her life for better or worse. Her mind raced with all the ways things could go wrong. But she decided to kneel by her bedside and pray. She simply said, "Lord, go before me today." And then she went about her day with faith, not knowing how it would unfold. By the end of the day, doors had opened, hearts had softened, opportunities had appeared, and she realized that she had not walked alone even for a single moment. That is the power of inviting God to go before you. Each morning is a gift, a blank page on which your day will be written. The question is, who will hold the pen? Will you let anxiety, doubt, and fear dictate the story? Or will you hand it over to the one who knows every twist, every turn, every challenge, and every triumph? The truth is, when we begin our day with prayer, we acknowledge that we are not in control, but that God is. We recognize that His wisdom far exceeds our own. And we embrace the peace that comes from knowing that even before we take our first step, the Lord has already gone ahead of us. Consider the story of a father who was struggling to provide for his family. Each morning, he woke with a heavy heart, wondering how he could meet the needs of his children. One day, he decided to start his morning differently. He bowed his head and whispered, "Lord, go before me today. Guide my steps. Protect my family. Provide for us as you see fit." He went to work with renewed courage. Doors he had never imagined opened for him. Opportunities for advancement appeared. And in the quiet moments of his evening, he realized that God had gone before him, preparing the path that he could not have seen alone. This is not a promise that life will be easy. There will be trials, hardships, and storms. But when you invite the Lord to go before you, you are never facing them alone. You are never walking in darkness without a light. You are never navigating uncertainty without guidance. The Lord goes before you, clearing obstacles, softening hearts, orchestrating circumstances, and giving you the wisdom to make the right decisions. Think about the small things in your life that bring stress, a conversation you dread, a task that seems impossible, a decision that weighs heavily on your mind. Now imagine handing all of that to God before you even begin. Imagine saying, "Lord, you go before me. You prepare the way. You fight the battles I cannot fight. You give me strength where I am weak." And then imagine walking into that day with calmness in your heart, clarity in your mind, and courage in your steps. That is the transformative power of a morning prayer. Even in moments when the day feels ordinary, when nothing seems remarkable, when the routine threatens to drain your spirit, there is power in starting with prayer, because it is in those ordinary moments that God shows His extraordinary faithfulness. It is in the everyday decisions, the mundane tasks, the quiet moments of reflection, that His presence becomes real and His guidance unmistakable. There is a story of a man who had grown weary of life's burdens. Each morning felt like a battle, each step like a struggle. One morning, in desperation, he said a simple prayer: "Lord, go before me today, lead me, protect me, show me your way." That day, he found opportunities he had never imagined. Friendships he had taken for granted were renewed, and solutions to problems that had seemed insurmountable appeared almost effortlessly. It was not luck. It was not coincidence. It was divine guidance. The fruit of surrendering the day into God's hands before it even began. We often think we must face the world armed with our own strength. But the truth is, we were never meant to face life alone. There is a higher power, a loving Father, who is eager to go before us, to guide us, to protect us, to fight for us. The invitation is simple, but its impact is profound. Start your day with God. Speak to Him. Invite Him to lead. Watch how the ordinary transforms into extraordinary. So today, no matter what awaits you, take a moment to kneel, to bow your head, to whisper your prayer. Lord, go before me today. Prepare the way. Guard my steps. Fill my heart with peace and my mind with clarity. Let your will be done. And as you rise from that prayer, carry the confidence that comes from knowing you are not alone. Carry the courage that comes from knowing the path ahead has been made ready by the one who loves you beyond measure. Carry the joy that comes from knowing every step you take today is guided by the eternal hand of God. Your day will have challenges, yes. But with God going before you, no obstacle is insurmountable. No fear is overwhelming. No burden too heavy. You will walk with a confidence that the world cannot shake, a peace that circumstances cannot disturb, and a hope that no trial can extinguish. Begin your day with Him and watch how your life transforms, moment by moment, step by step, prayer by prayer. Today, let your first words be a declaration of faith, a surrender of control, and a claim of God's guidance. Lord, go before me today. And as you step into the day, remember this: God's faithfulness never fails. His love never wavers. His guidance never falters. He has gone before you, and He will continue to go with you, behind you, and beside you. So face your day boldly, walk your path courageously, and live your life fully, knowing that you are never alone, and that the Lord, who is greater than all your fears, is going before you. Your day is a gift, your life is a blessing, and the Lord is your unshakable guide. Start this morning with Him, and watch how He turns every challenge into a testimony, every trial into a triumph, and every ordinary moment into an extraordinary encounter with His love and grace. Begin your day with a simple, heartfelt prayer inviting God to go before you, and you will discover a power far greater than anything you could muster on your own. There is something remarkable about taking a few moments in the quiet of the morning to bow your head, close your eyes, and speak to the one who knows every thought in your heart, every fear in your mind, and every burden you carry. In those moments, when the world is still waking and the noise has not yet begun to crowd your spirit, prayer becomes a bridge between your human limitations and God's infinite strength. Imagine standing at the edge of your day, uncertain of what lies ahead, yet knowing that the Lord Himself has gone before you, preparing every step, smoothing every obstacle, and guiding your path. That is the profound peace and confidence that comes from starting with prayer. It may seem like a small act, almost insignificant in the grand scale of life's challenges, yet it is in this small act that God's power begins to move. A morning prayer is not just words spoken into the air. It is an acknowledgement of your dependence on Him and a declaration that you will not face the day alone. In a world that values self-reliance and celebrates the independent spirit, it can be difficult to surrender control. But when you take those moments to invite God into your day, you are tapping into a source of wisdom, strength, and guidance that surpasses any human understanding. Think of the countless individuals who have faced impossible circumstances, who stood at the threshold of uncertainty, and who chose to start their day with prayer. Their lives are testimonies to the power of surrendering to God first thing in the morning. When we pray, we are not merely asking for protection or success. We are opening our hearts to receive God's perspective, His clarity, and His direction. A prayer like, "Lord, go before me today," is a request, a surrender, and a statement of faith all at once. It is a recognition that while we may not know the road ahead, the one who holds the universe in His hands already does, and He is ready to guide us safely through it. Morning prayer also sets the tone for the rest of the day. Our minds are often cluttered with worry, fear, and doubt the moment we wake. But taking the time to pray aligns our thoughts, centers our hearts, and reminds us of God's presence. It allows us to step into the day with a sense of purpose and confidence, knowing that no matter what challenges arise, we are not facing them alone. There is a calm that comes from placing your burdens at the feet of the Lord and knowing that He is already at work on your behalf. Even the smallest of tasks can be infused with meaning, and even the heaviest of trials can be met with courage when prayer is the foundation of your morning. Moreover, starting your day with prayer is an act of faith that ripples through every aspect of your life. It transforms ordinary routines into sacred moments, mundane decisions into guided choices, and fleeting anxieties into opportunities for trust. When you make morning prayer a habit, you cultivate a daily connection with God, a rhythm that nourishes your spirit and fortifies your resolve. It is in this consistent practice, this intentional surrender at the start of each day, that God's presence becomes tangible, His guidance unmistakable, and His peace unshakable. Trust that God's guidance can turn uncertainty and fear into peace and clarity, and you will find a strength that surpasses any human understanding. Life is filled with moments when the road ahead seems unclear, when the weight of decisions presses heavily upon your shoulders, and when fear threatens to overwhelm your heart. In those moments, it is natural to feel anxious, to question your own ability to navigate the challenges before you. But there is a power in trusting God that transforms uncertainty into confidence, fear into courage, and confusion into clarity. When you place your trust in Him, you acknowledge that there is a plan far greater than your own, and that even when you cannot see the way, God has already prepared it. Consider the times in your own life when you have faced situations that seemed impossible to manage. Perhaps it was a decision that carried enormous consequences, a relationship in turmoil, or an opportunity that demanded courage you didn't think you possessed. In those moments, the natural tendency is to rely solely on your own understanding, to try to control outcomes, and to wrestle with fear and doubt. Yet, when you pause and trust God, something remarkable happens. You begin to see that what seemed like chaos is part of a larger design, that obstacles are stepping stones, and that each challenge holds a lesson that can guide you toward greater wisdom and strength. Trust is not passive. It is an active choice to place your confidence in God's wisdom, timing, and provision. It is the deliberate act of surrendering your fears and uncertainties, saying, "Lord, I may not understand, but I trust you to lead me." This kind of trust is cultivated through experience, reflection, and prayer. Each time you witness God's faithfulness in the past, it strengthens your ability to trust Him in the present and the future. Even when circumstances seem bleak, trusting God allows you to remain calm in the storm, to walk forward with faith rather than hesitation, and to approach each situation with the clarity that comes from knowing you are not alone. Fear has a way of clouding our judgment, distorting reality, and making obstacles appear larger than they truly are. But when you trust God, fear loses its power. You begin to see challenges through the lens of faith rather than anxiety. Decisions become clearer because your focus shifts from what could go wrong to what God can do. Opportunities that may have been overshadowed by worry become visible, and the path forward, once hidden in uncertainty, becomes illuminated. Trust in God does not mean that problems disappear, but it does mean that you are equipped with the wisdom, strength, and perspective to navigate them with confidence. Trusting God's guidance also fosters peace in your heart. The turmoil that comes from trying to control everything and anticipating every possible outcome begins to fade. Instead, you experience a calm assurance that God is at work behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances, opening doors, and providing solutions that you may never have imagined. This peace is not dependent on your situation or surroundings. It is rooted in the steadfast knowledge that God is guiding you every step of the way. As you place your trust in God, you are invited to release anxiety and embrace clarity, to step into each day with courage, and to allow your faith to shape your decisions, relationships, and actions. It is a trust that empowers you to face the unknown, to confront challenges with a steady heart, and to move forward even when the path is uncertain, knowing that God's guidance transforms fear into confidence and uncertainty into clarity. Even in ordinary or challenging moments, God's presence transforms your day, bringing purpose, meaning, and direction where there once was uncertainty. Life is full of routine tasks, unexpected trials, and moments that feel insignificant. Yet it is precisely in these moments that God's presence can be most powerful. When we recognize that we are never alone, even in the smallest details of our daily lives, we begin to see that nothing is truly ordinary. Every encounter, every decision, every challenge carries the potential for divine influence. And God's presence turns the mundane into the extraordinary. Consider the quiet moments of your morning, the rush to get ready, the commute, the emails, the errands. On the surface, these may seem trivial, repetitive, or even stressful. But when you invite God into your day, these moments take on new significance. A simple morning prayer, asking Him to guide your steps, opens the door for His presence to shape every interaction and decision. The phone call that could have been frustrating becomes an opportunity to show patience and kindness. The meeting that seemed daunting becomes a chance to exhibit wisdom and integrity. The tasks that felt burdensome are transformed into acts of service, purpose, and faithfulness. Challenges, too, are reframed when God is present. Life is never without its difficulties. Health concerns, financial strain, relational struggles, and unexpected setbacks can all weigh heavily on our hearts. Yet, when we acknowledge God's presence, these challenges are no longer obstacles faced in isolation. His guidance brings perspective, His wisdom offers solutions, and His comfort brings peace in the midst of trials. Even when outcomes are uncertain, the assurance that God is with us allows us to navigate difficulties with strength and resilience. What might have seemed overwhelming before now becomes manageable because we are walking with a power greater than ourselves. God's presence also transforms our attitude and mindset. When we carry the awareness of His nearness, we begin to see blessings where we once saw burdens. Gratitude replaces complaint, hope replaces despair, and joy replaces weariness. This transformation is not dependent on external circumstances, but on the internal recognition that God is at work in every aspect of our lives. The ordinary routines of life become opportunities to experience His faithfulness, His provision, and His love. Even a quiet moment of reflection over a cup of coffee can become a time of connection, clarity, and encouragement when God is present. Stories abound of people who discovered God's transforming presence in the midst of seemingly ordinary days. A parent managing the chaos of family life, a worker navigating the pressures of a demanding job, a student facing the stress of exams, all have experienced moments when God's presence turned fear into peace, confusion into understanding, and frustration into patience. These are not miraculous events in the sensational sense, but quiet, consistent examples of how God works in everyday life to shape hearts, guide decisions, and provide strength. When we live with an awareness of God's presence, every part of our day becomes sacred. Ordinary moments are infused with meaning, challenges are met with courage, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to reflect His love and grace. Even when life feels monotonous, difficult, or uncertain, God's presence brings transformation, turning what could have been a day of stress and worry into a day filled with purpose, clarity, and hope. The key is to remain intentional, to pause, and to recognize that God is with us. In every ordinary or challenging moment, His presence is transformative, guiding, comforting, and empowering us to live each day with faith, courage, and joy. Surrender control to God, knowing He prepares the path ahead and fights your battles, and you will experience a freedom and strength unlike anything the world can offer. Life often tempts us to rely solely on our own understanding, to try to plan every detail, and to control every outcome. We worry about what might go wrong, we strategize for every possible scenario, and we exhaust ourselves attempting to manage circumstances that are far beyond our power. Yet there is a profound peace that comes when we lay down that burden of control and invite God to take the lead. To surrender is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of courage. An acknowledgement that God's wisdom surpasses our own, and a recognition that He is intimately aware of every challenge and every opportunity that lies ahead. When we surrender control, we are not giving up, we are aligning ourselves with a higher purpose. It is a conscious decision to trust that God sees the bigger picture, even when we are confined to the narrow view of our human perspective. There is a story of a man who faced a critical decision in his career. Every option seemed uncertain, and every path appeared fraught with risk. He realized that no matter how much he worried or planned, he could not control the outcome. In a moment of humility, he prayed, asking God to guide him, to prepare the path ahead, and to fight the battles that he could not fight alone. By surrendering control, he discovered clarity, opportunity, and provision that he could never have orchestrated himself. The result was a transformation not only in his career, but in his heart, as he experienced the profound relief of trusting God's timing and direction. Surrendering to God also means recognizing that we are not alone in our struggles. There are battles in life, emotional, spiritual, relational, that we cannot face with human strength alone. When we try to fight them on our own, we often feel defeated, overwhelmed, and exhausted. But when we place our trust in God, we invite His power to intervene. He goes before us to prepare the way, stands beside us to strengthen us, and fights for us in battles we may not even see. This divine partnership allows us to approach life with courage and confidence, knowing that every challenge is being met with the wisdom and power of the Creator. Surrendering control also brings clarity. Our minds are often clouded by fear, doubt, and endless what-ifs. When we attempt to manage everything ourselves, confusion can dominate our thoughts and prevent us from seeing solutions that are already within reach. By placing our lives in God's hands, we allow His guidance to illuminate the path, reveal the steps we need to take, and provide insight that our limited perspective could never achieve. Decisions that once seemed daunting become manageable, obstacles become opportunities, and uncertainty transforms into trust. Living with surrendered control fosters humility and deepens our relationship with God. We learn to depend on Him for wisdom, strength, and provision. And we recognize that life is not about our ability to dominate circumstances, but about our willingness to follow the guidance of the One who knows the end from the beginning. As we surrender, we experience a freedom from fear, a confidence in His protection, and a peace that surpasses understanding. To walk each day with God, preparing your path and fighting your battles, is to step into a life of faith, courage, and trust. It is to know that no matter the challenges ahead, no matter the obstacles that rise before you, you are never facing them alone, and every step is guided by His loving hand. As we come to the close of our reflection on beginning each day with God, it is clear that the power of a morning prayer is far greater than we often realize. Life is unpredictable. Every day brings its share of challenges, decisions, and uncertainties. From the moment our eyes open, we are faced with possibilities that can inspire hope or invite fear. It is in those early moments, before the world rushes in, that we have the opportunity to align ourselves with something far greater than ourselves, to invite the presence of God to go before us, and to acknowledge that we are never alone in the journey that lies ahead. The simple act of speaking to Him, asking Him to guide, protect, and prepare the way, sets a tone for the entire day, a tone of faith, confidence, and peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances. When we begin our day with a prayer, we acknowledge our limitations and affirm God's infinite wisdom. It is a moment of humility, an act of surrender, and a declaration of trust. Life may try to convince us that we must rely solely on our own understanding, that we must control every outcome, or that we must navigate challenges on our own strength. Yet, the truth is that when we place our hearts and minds in God's hands, He equips us with a perspective that surpasses human understanding. Fear loses its grip, confusion gives way to clarity, and challenges become opportunities to witness His faithfulness. There is a profound peace that accompanies the awareness that God has gone before us, clearing obstacles, softening hearts, and preparing every step of our path. Even the ordinary moments of life are transformed when God's presence is acknowledged. The mundane routines, the small interactions, the tasks that may seem insignificant, each of these moments carries potential for His guidance, provision, and love. When we walk through our day with God, we begin to see His fingerprints on everything, in the kindness of strangers, in doors that open at just the right time, in moments of insight that give us courage and direction. The ordinary becomes extraordinary because God's presence transforms every step, every decision, and every encounter into an opportunity for blessing and growth. Surrendering control is another essential aspect of this journey. We cannot see the future, we cannot predict every outcome, and we cannot carry every burden on our own. But when we trust God to go before us, to prepare the path, and to fight the battles we cannot fight alone, we step into a life of freedom and confidence. Surrender does not mean passivity. It is an active choice to rely on His wisdom, to walk in His guidance, and to allow His power to work on our behalf. It is a daily commitment to live with faith, courage, and trust, no matter what the day may bring. In every trial, in every uncertainty, in every ordinary or extraordinary moment, God's presence remains constant. He invites us to begin each day with Him, to place our worries, fears, and plans into His hands, and to walk forward with confidence, knowing that the day has already been prepared by His loving care. This practice of morning prayer, of inviting God to go before us, transforms our lives from the inside out. It strengthens our hearts, renews our minds, and equips us to face life with courage, joy, and hope. So as each new day begins, let us remember the power of that quiet moment of prayer, that simple invitation to God, Lord, go before me today. Let us trust in His guidance, rely on His strength, embrace His presence, and walk confidently into the day, knowing that every step is accompanied, every challenge is met, and every blessing is prepared by the One who loves us without end.